Today, our Cleveland Guardians have an opportunity to win our second World Series title of this franchise series. Today, we face off against the Chicago Cubs here in Game 5, and since this is an elimination game, this will be the only game in today's episode. Our Cleveland Guardians currently hold a 3-1 lead after winning Games 3 and 4 last time around, and in today's episode, we have an opportunity to finish off the job. 10 years ago in the 2016 World Series, Cleveland held a 3-1 lead against the Chicago Cubs, and of course, the Cubs came back and won, so we are hoping that history does not repeat itself, and we can end things off quickly today. Last episode was a big success for us, winning Games 3 and 4 at home. Both games were pitching duels, and really every game in this series has been about how good the pitching has been. Game 3, we won 5-3 after scoring 3 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning, propelled by a homer from Alvaro Pena. And then the pitching was very solid as well. John Means was good, the bullpen was good. And then Game 4, we won 2-1. There was virtually no offense until the 8th inning, where both teams scored. But a Kyle Lewis sacrifice fly that was able to drive in Alvaro Pena was able to get the job done for our Cleveland Guardians and has put us in a position to win the World Series tonight. Sure, if we lose this game, we still have a great shot with Games 6 and possibly 7 on the horizon. But I want to finish off the World Series right now. Something that we did not get to do in Season 3 was win the World Series in front of our home crowd. We beat the Colorado Rockies in 5 games, and Game 5 was in Colorado. So I think it would be so cool to win a championship in front of these home fans who have not seen a championship won in baseball in Lord knows how long, at least 70 plus years, when most of these people had not even been conceived yet. So hopefully the Cleveland Guardians can get the job done with Hunter Greene getting the start. Cleveland would get some unfortunate injury news as backup catcher Eliezer Alfonso was supposed to start today. However, with a minor tricep injury, he will not start. Now, he can still hypothetically play coming off the bench. However, this could change some of Cleveland's plans within their catching rotation. Here is Hunter Greene making the start. He pitched in Game 2 of the World Series, and my God, was he fantastic. He had a no-hitter last nearly 7 innings and still managed to take the loss in that game because Cleveland's offense did not show up. Of course, the Cubs start the game with a base hit, a broken bat single from Akil Baddoo. No-hitter today for Hunter Greene, as Baddoo will steal second despite a quick throw from Luis Campusano, and the Cubs now have a runner in scoring position. Sergio Alcantara strikes out on the fastball. Nice pitch for Greene. Brian Reynolds then draws a walk. Keep in mind with Hunter Greene, he is coming off of short rest. He pitched 4 days ago, and clearly that is causing some issues so far as Jared Walsh hits it into the gap. That'll go for an RBI double, and the Cubbies are on the board here in the top of the first inning as they lead it 1-0 with an RBI double by Jared Walsh, and now have 2 runners in scoring position with only 1 away. J.J. Bleday draws a walk, and the bases are loaded. A huge opportunity for the young infielder, Christian Ramirez, who hits this one high and deep into straightaway center, and that ball is gone. A grand slam for Christian Ramirez, his 6th homer of the playoffs, his 2nd of the World Series, and this is quickly a big 5-0 Chicago lead. A huge grand slam early from Christian Ramirez, and the Guardians might be having reservations of starting Hunter Greene off of 4 days rest. Jake Fraley then deflects that one off of Greene's foot, and he is safe at first. Things are getting from bad to ugly to really ugly very quickly in this game for Cleveland. Sean Murphy flies it into left, and it looks like it'll be caught by Zane Rowley, but the Cubs do score 5 here in this first inning. I don't think the Cubs have had a game in the World Series where they've scored 5 at all, let alone 5 in an inning. The lefty, Cole Ragans, will be starting for Chicago. He's pitched in a little under 8 innings in the postseason, but has not started yet, so it's interesting that they pretty much are handing him their entire season on the line. Zane Rowley singles into center. Rowley presumably would be a great World Series MVP candidate if Cleveland gets the job done tonight. That'll bring up Ketel Marte, who launches a nuke into straightaway center. A big-time bat flip for Marte, and this game is a little bit closer as it's now 5-2. Marte sends that ball 450 feet. One of the longest home runs you will ever see, as that ball was right down the middle, and Marte times it up perfectly. A big response from the Cleveland offense. It looks like they are coming to play today, unlike the previous 4 games pretty much. Such a beautiful swing into straightaway center field. Just an absolute piss missile from Ketel Marte. 2 gone now for Kyle Lewis. He has dominated against left-handed pitching in the playoffs, hitting over 500 against lefties in the month of October as he singles into center. So Lewis is aboard, and that'll bring up the 20-year-old Alvaro Pena, who has been incredible for Cleveland in the World Series, and an opportunity to make another play. We'll see what the Onion can do, and it looks like he will capitalize in a big way. Another bomb! This time into left as Pena bat flips, and it is now 5-4. We have not had a game in the World Series where both teams exceeded a grand total of 9 runs. Here in the first inning, we have had 9 runs come across. What a beautiful swing by Alvaro Pena, who in his first World Series has taken it by storm. Pena really was not all that impressive in the postseason prior to the World Series, but over these last few games, he has been absolutely incredible. That'll bring up Dansby Swanson with 2 away. He will draw a walk. The Cubs batted through their entire order, and it looks like Cleveland is about to, depending on what happens with George Valera. 2-2 pitch. Valera hits this one nicely into center, but it will be caught. Well, that was a start. 9 runs come across in the first inning as the Cubs lead 5-4. This World Series has been all about pitching, and now it appears that the offense has come to life with 2 homers from Marte and Pena to drive in 4 for the Guardians. Into the second now. 1 away for Alcantara. He strikes out on the changeup. We'll see if Hunter Green can try to find a groove after allowing 5 runs and throwing around 40 pitches in the first inning. Brian Reynolds hits this one nicely into right center, but Kyle Lewis is under it. Quick 1-2-3 inning. Hunter Green looked a whole lot better as it remains 5-4. We'll see if Cleveland's offense can keep things going as Luis Campusano, who was not supposed to start today, singles into center. Normally, Cleveland starts one of their catchers, has a pinch hitter come for them close to the end of the game, and then puts the other catcher in. But with Eliezer Alfonso injured, I'm not sure if Cleveland's going to be able to do that. Ramon Romero, the lefty killer, strikes out. Romero has been pretty disappointing, only 1 hit through the entirety of the World Series. That'll bring up Ketel Marte, homered in his last at-bat, swings at an outside curveball, and the Cubs make the play. So after a dominant offensive first inning, both pitchers looked a lot better here in the second, as nobody scores, only 1 hit, the single by Campusano, and it's still 5-4 as we go into the third. J.J. Bleday strikes out for the second out of the inning. Hunter Green's 3rd K of the day. I'm really not sure how long Hunter Green is going to last after that really bad first inning, along with the fact that he's on short rest. Hell, I'm surprised Cleveland kept him in after he allowed the 5 runs to begin with. He does get another 1-2-3 inning, however, and we go into the bottom of the third. Jose Ramirez, the only remaining member of the 2016 AL champion squad, flies out to center. Nice play by Reynolds. That ball took some flight, but was unable to make it over the fence. That'll bring up Kyle Lewis, who had a base hit in his last at-bat. This time he goes down looking, and Cole Ragans, just like Hunter Green, looks a lot better than he did earlier, as Lewis has some choice words there for the umpire. Full count for Alvaro Pena, homered in his last at-bat, and this time he singles into right. Good at-bat for Pena, who continues to be so clutch for this Cleveland team. And that'll bring up Dansby Swanson, who is a hitter's-friendly 3-1 count. Swanson pops this one up into foul territory, and it looks like it will be caught by Walsh. Both pitchers are at pretty much 70 pitches right now. That's a lot for 3 innings, but both pitchers have looked really good since the first. Javier La Stella goes down on the check swing. Nice high slider. 1 away for Jake Fraley. He goes down on the fastball. Hunter Green has not allowed a base runner since the first inning. He looks awesome right now. And fittingly, right as I say that, Sean Murphy rips one down the line, likely for extra bases. Nope, he's going to hold up at first. Good defense by Zane Rowley. So the Cubs get their first base runner since back in the first inning. And it looks like they're going to try to capitalize as Akil Baddoo hits this one into right center. That'll result in a double. Murphy holds up at third. So now there's runners on the corners with 2 away. Cleveland really wanted Hunter Green to at least make it through the inning, but he's allowed 2 consecutive base runners, and they're going to bring Ryan Weathers into the game. The batter who's up next, Sergio Alcantara, really struggles against lefties. So the Guardians wanted to get a lefty in here in Weathers, who can hopefully eat up multiple innings through the middle of this game. We'll see if he can get Alcantara out. He is a switch hitter, but really struggles against lefties. As he lines out to first, Ramirez makes the play. Good choice by the Cleveland coaching staff to bring Weathers in when they did, as it remains 5-4. No offense, really, since the first inning. The Cubs are going to make a pitching change as well, with Daniel Norris, the veteran lefty, checking into the game. So we're still in the 4th inning, and both teams have turned this game over to their bullpens. 1 away here for the catcher, Luis Campusano. Rips it down the line, and fair, likely for a single. Nice hit by Campusano, who's now 2 for 2 today, and if he keeps hitting like this, then Cleveland won't need to consider bringing in a pinch hitter and then Alfonso later on. Ramon Romero hits this one up the middle. Ramirez tags short. It's been a rough day in the office for Ramon Romero, who is 0 for 3 against a left-handed pitcher, where he normally thrives. Score remains 5-4. Can either team get something going offensively? J.J. Bleday with 2 away rips this one into right field for the Cubs, as he's going to make his way over to second with a double. So the Cubs have the runner in scoring position. We'll see if they can look to extend their lead, as that'll bring up the number 6 hitter, Christian Ramirez, with the grand slam earlier. Grounds it to short. Marte makes the play. Good work from Ryan Weathers, as it remains 5-4. We'll see if Cleveland can get anything going here in the bottom of the 5th, as Ketel Marte leads off the inning with a full count, and he swings and misses at the circle change. Good pitch by Daniel Norris. That'll bring up Jose Ramirez. Full count. He draws a walk. So J-Ram is now aboard. We'll see if the Guardians can look to drive him in. That'll bring up Kyle Lewis next up. And Lewis hits this one nicely over the glove of the shortstop, La Stella. Jose Ramirez will hustle his Tootsie over to third. And now the Guardians have a pair of runners on the corners with 1 away. If this ball is in play, Cleveland should score a run. It's Alvaro Pena who hits it high and deep into center. It is caught by Reynolds, but that is more than enough room for Jose Ramirez to score off the sacrifice fly. And there you go. The Guardians tie the game up at 5 as we finally have our first run come across since the first inning. Good at bat for Pena, who's now driven in 3 runs today. That'll bring up Dansby Swanson, who crushes this one into left field, and that one goes off the top of the wall. For a second, I thought it was going to be a homer, but it'll be a double. The Guardians now have 2 runners in scoring position and 2 out. A huge opportunity for the 8 hitter, George Valera, who has a full count. Valera's 0 for 2 today, and he draws a walk. Good at bat. Luis Campusano, the catcher, is now up. This is normally where the Guardians would bring in a pinch hitter for him, so we'll see what they're going to do as the Cubs bring in Joe Barlow out of the bullpen to try to get them out of the inning. The Guardians will ultimately decide to keep Luis Campusano in the game rather than go for one of their bench guys like a Jesus Sanchez or a Josh Bell. I think Eliezer Alfonso is fine enough to play, but I really don't want to risk a big injury, and I think it would be smart to give Campusano, who is 2 for 2 today, an opportunity to get this at bat. Count is 3-2. 2 away. Bases loaded. Pitch for Campusano is high for a walk. Good at bat for Luis Campusano. He worked the count. He draws a walk. He drives in a run. And for the first time today, the Cleveland Guardians have the lead as it's now 5-6. Zane Rowley hits this one to the first baseman. I thought Rowley was about to make a big play and break this game wide open, but unfortunately he doesn't as the Guardians leave the bases loaded, but they also score 2 and have taken a 5-6 lead with just 4 innings to go. Ryan Weathers remains in the game here in the 6th as he strikes out Javier La Stella on the fastball. 2 away now for Sean Murphy at a base hit in his last at bat, and he goes down on the circle change. 2 1/3 awesome innings from Ryan Weathers. He did exactly what he needed to coming out of the bullpen, and I assume Cleveland's going to go to their back end guys to finish out the game. Ramon Romero gets the inning started off strong with a walk. That'll bring up Ketel Marte. He's been pretty good in this game, but he goes down looking at the 12-6 curve. What a pitch by Joe Barlow right on the edge of the strike zone. That'll bring up Jose Ramirez, who walked and scored in his last at bat, and he will draw another walk. Good discipline for Jose Ramirez, who has been walked twice in the last couple of innings. First and second, 2 away for Alvaro Pena. Crushes it up the middle for a hit. Pena's going to look to drive in another run as Ramiro slides safely. Alvaro Pena, have yourself a day. He is 3 for 3 with a home run and 4 RBIs in this game. Dansby Swanson then proceeds to swing and miss at a pitch in the dirt, and the Cubs get through the rest of the inning, but the Guardians drive in another run and now lead 7-5. Now it's time to get the big guns in the game. If all goes well, the Guardians are going to have their back-end guys, Karinchak, Duvall, and Clase, finish out the game. We'll start with James Karinchak, and things don't particularly open up great as he allows an early base hit to the leadoff man, Akil Yabba-Dabba-Doo. That'll bring up Sergio Alcantara, and he goes down looking on the fastball. Nice pitch by Karinchak, as that'll bring up Reynolds. Baddoo looks to steal second, and he is out of there! Gunned down behind the plate by Luis Campusano. That'll bring up Brian Reynolds. He draws a walk, so Baddoo didn't even have to steal second. And the Cubs now have a runner aboard for Jared Walsh, the first baseman, and he strikes out. Karinchak does his job. We'll see if Duvall and Clase can finish out the game for the Guardians over the next couple of innings. Again, assuming all goes well. Brett Martin is now in for Chicago. The lefty has a 4.26 ERA in just over 6 postseason innings. He'll face off against George Valera, who hits well against lefties, but not today at least, 0 for 2. Make it 0 for 3 as he goes down looking on the sinker, very visibly frustrated with himself. Luis Campusano, who's been very good today, 2 for 2. He strikes out as well. That'll bring up Zane Rowley. He has hit extraordinarily well against lefties here in the playoffs, but this time he grounds out to second. 1-2-3 inning for Martin, and that'll bring us into the 8th. The Guardians lead by 2 with 2 innings to go as Camilo Duvall checks into the game. He's been a little bit shaky throughout the postseason, but we know how good he is. The Cubs do start with an early hit, a single for J.J. Bleday, who has been really good in this game for the Cubs. Runner on first, that'll bring up Christian Ramirez. He hits this one high and deep into center field. Lewis at the track, at the wall, it is gone! This game is tied at 7. Christian Ramirez with his 7th homer of the playoffs, his 3rd of the World Series, and his 2nd of the day. This game just got real interesting, everybody. As we take a look at that one again, barely going over the fence. And again, Camilo Duvall has been so good throughout this entire series, the last 4 seasons. But here this season in the playoffs, he has been pretty disappointing. And again, he allows a big home run to Ramirez just shy of 400 feet. And we're now knotted up at 7. La Stella then lines it out to first. Good play by Ramirez. The Guardians are hoping that Duvall can make it through the rest of the inning. And it looks like he will, as Sean Murphy goes down looking. Not a good inning, though, for Camilo Duvall, as he allows a game-tying 2-run homer to Christian Ramirez, as we are now knotted up at 7, going into the bottom of the 8th inning. I will say, Cleveland has been awesome in the 8th inning, really throughout the entire playoffs, but in the World Series in particular. They had 3 runs in Game 3 when they were trailing. They had the game-winning run last game in the 8th inning. So we'll see what they can do against Andres Munoz. This guy is a total flamethrower. He can throw over 100 on his fastball, but he got Ramon Ramirez to go chasing the slider. Nice pitch by Munoz for the first out of the inning. That'll bring up Ketel Marte, 1 for 4 today. He did it the homer, and Marte singles into left. The potential go-ahead run is now on first base with 1 away and the middle of the order due up. We could put a pinch runner in right now, but it's not like Ketel Marte's slow, and in the case that we may need him later in the game, I think it would just be smarter to have him stay in the ballgame. Jose Ramirez strikes out, and he is frustrated with himself. That's out number 2. That'll bring up Kyle Lewis, the center fielder, facing off against Munoz as Lewis grounds it to second. Ramirez flips it to La Stella. Good inning for Andres Munoz, and this game is tied at 7 going into the 9th inning. Despite allowing 2 runs in the 8th inning, Cleveland will still bring Emmanuel Clase into the game. I know it's not a save situation, but the Guardians are really putting all their eggs in the let's end it tonight basket. Whether Cleveland was up by nothing or 100 going into this 9th inning, Clase was going to enter the game. He strikes out the first batter. That's a good start. That was Akil Baddoo. This is Sergio Alcantara. He goes down in the cutter. You just can't hit against Emmanuel Clase. This guy's had the best reliever stretch over a 5-year span that anybody in Major League history has had. Brian Reynolds draws a walk, so now there's a base runner for Jared Walsh. He goes down looking on the cutter. Clase strikes out 3 as we go into the bottom of the 9th inning, and the 6, 7, 8 hitters all have an opportunity to walk it off for the World Series. What an opportunity for these guys. That starts with Alvaro Pena, who has been incredible in the World Series and has been electric tonight. Hits this one high and deep into center field, and it is caught. For a second, I thought that had a chance to be something big. Maybe if not a homer, a double or something. The Guardians are now going to bring a pinch hitter in for Swanson. It's Jesus Sanchez, who has hit a measly 115 through the postseason. He has not been great, but he's got a lot of power, and the Guardians are hoping he can give them a big swing as he lays off a tough fastball. If Sanchez can be disciplined and maybe draw a walk, that'd be really good. Get a base runner aboard. Here's the 3-1 pitch from Munoz. Sanchez rips it into right, and it will go fair. Sanchez rounding first, looking ahead to second, and he is safe. A double for Jesus Sanchez, and the winning run is in scoring position. Jesus Sanchez is pretty fast, but Jay Allen is a little bit faster. So the Guardians are going to bring him into the game. Number 69, nice on the field, but number 1 in your heart. It's George Valera with an opportunity to walk it off. Pops it up. Murphy is under it. It'll make the play. That'll bring up the number 9 spot. This is Luis Campusano. Again, a perfect opportunity to bring in a pinch hitter, but they're not going to do so. Luis Campusano will stay in the game, and he has an opportunity to win it right here for Cleveland. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Campusano hits this one high and deep into center field, and it is caught! What a catch by Brian Reynolds to save the season for the Cubs. If that ball drops, this game is over. But instead, we're going to extras. J.J. Bleday leads it off, and this ball is crushed into left center, and that one is gone. J.J. Bleday, Danville, PA's finest, has the Cubs ahead 8-7. The Guardians are going to continue to keep Emmanuel Clase into the game despite allowing the homer. That'll start with a ground out from Christian Ramirez for out number 1. Javier La Stella hits this one into left, and Rowley cannot make the play. So the Cubs get another base runner, but Cleveland is going to continue to ride with their all-star closer. We'll see if they regret this decision. Jake Fraley is up now as the runner looks to steal second, and he is out of there. Luis Campusano throws out his second runner of the ball game, and that'll clear the bases now, making their 2 outs. What a play by Campusano, who has been phenomenal for the most part here in Game 5. Jake Fraley still up, and he strikes out. Not a great inning, though. The Cubs do take the lead with the homer from Bleday, but I suppose it could have been worse. And now Cleveland needs at least 1 here to keep the game alive. R.J. Dabovich is in for the save. He's allowed 2 runs so far in the playoffs, and boy, would it be nice for him to allow 2 more. The top of the order is up, and that'll start with Zane Rowley. I think if Rowley had gotten an at-bat in the 9th inning, he could have won it for Cleveland, but instead he'll lead off the 10th with a walk. So Rowley is now on base, and the tying run is aboard. That would bring up Ramon Romero, both his World Series struggles. He'll be taken out of the game and replaced by pinch hitter Josh Bell. Bell's been around the channel for a while. Wouldn't it be fitting for him to make the play? But instead, he grounds it in the infield. But Ramirez cannot make the play, and everybody is safe. So the tying run is on second. The winning run is on first. And there is nobody out. That'll bring up Ketel Marte. Rips it into right. That could end it. Rowley rounds third. He will score, and this game is tied. Bell will hold up at third. Marte is safe at second with a double. So we are now tied at 8 with 2 runners in scoring position and nobody out. If Cleveland puts this ball in play, they can end it. So the Cubs are going to make a pitching change. John Brebbia is now in, and up for the Guardians is third baseman Jose Ramirez. He's the guy who we've started this series out with as our franchise player from day 1. Wouldn't it be so fitting for him to be the one to walk it off here in the World Series? Ramirez lines it to first. Excellent play by Walsh, who tags the bag. Nobody advances forward, so this game remains tied at 8. Big play by Walsh to save the season for Chicago, and Jose will not get his heroic moment. Now it'll be up to Kyle Lewis. He's 2 for 5 today. Again, you just got to put the ball in play. If this ball is high in the outfield, it's game over, but he strikes out on the slider. That was a ball. Everybody wants to be the hero too badly, and now Cleveland's going to need a base hit. But it's Alvaro Pena coming up to the plate. 3 for 4 today. He's driven in 4 runs. If he gets this walk-off, he's the World Series MVP, and he swings at a bad slider for strike 2. Again, everyone's trying to be the hero. Wait for a good pitch. So now the count is 1-2. 2-1. 2 out. Pitch on its way, and he hits the outside slider to third. The throw will be made, and despite having 2 runners in scoring position with the winning run on third, Cleveland does not drive another one in, and we're going to the 11th. Alex Vesia, the lefty, is now in for the Guardians. He's pitched in 4 innings so far in the playoffs and has been great. He has not allowed a run yet as he faces off against the catcher, Sean Murphy. He goes down on the circle change for the first out of the inning. Vesia was not good in the regular season, but has completely flipped it around in the postseason, where he's been a strikeout machine as he gets Baddoo on the slider. That'll bring up Sergio Alcantara. Hits this one into right. Pena chasing after it, and he makes the catch! What a grab by Alvaro Pena! And that'll bring us to the bottom of the 11th with the back of the order due up, hitters 7, 8, and 9. That'll start with the pinch hitter, Dustin Harris, who checked in with a defensive substitution earlier in the game. 2-1 pitch. Harris hits this one high and deep into left field. Back at the track, at the wall, it is gone! And Cleveland has done it! Dustin Harris walks it off in the bottom of the 11th inning to win the World Series for the Cleveland Guardians! Oh my goodness, what a way to end the game, and of all the people to do it, it's Dustin Harris! Who would have guessed? The rookie, who had played in 6 big league games prior to this postseason and made no starts in the playoffs, is the one who walks it off in the World Series for the Cleveland Guardians as they have won the World Series championship. Dustin Harris leads off the inning with a high fly ball into left field. I didn't think that one had enough carry initially off the bat, but it does to win it all for the Cleveland Guardians. Wow, I am just in total shock. Dustin Harris is the hero for the Guardians in the 11th inning to win Game 5 of the World Series. And with that, the Guardians have now won 2 World Series championships in the last 3 years. What a moment for the Cleveland faithful, and what a great way to end this World Series with a walk-off in front of the home crowd. This Cleveland ball club has been perpetually losers. Prior to the World Series championship in 2024, it had been 3/4 of a century since Cleveland had last won a championship with their baseball club, but they've now done it twice in 3 years. They do it at home, and it's the unlikely heroes who step up. None more important than Dustin Harris, who hits a walk-off homer in the bottom of the 11th inning. Let's take another look at this one again. Man, that did not look like a homer off the bat, but it just had enough carry in the left field. And man, these are the types of moments you dream of in your backyard, swinging the wiffle ball bat to have an opportunity to hit a walk-off home run to win the World Series. And Dustin Harris has gotten that moment, and he will never forget it. What an opportunity for the Cleveland Guardians as they have won another World Series, and Dustin Harris leads the way for the championship Guardians. Dustin Harris was a player who we traded for right at the beginning of this series. He was the very first player we traded for back in like episode 4, I think, from the Texas Rangers. It took him all the way until the end of September this year to be called up to the big leagues. He gets an opportunity on the postseason roster, and here he is off the bench with the biggest play of this series. As Cleveland has won another world championship, their second in 3 years. I'm not ready to call this team a dynasty, but maybe over these next couple of seasons, we can win some more. Wow, what a game, what a thrilling finish. I'm just speechless. I don't know what to say about all of that. The Cubs gave it everything they got, man. They gave us a great fight through these 5 games. They scored 5 in the first. They had the big homer by Ramirez in the 8th. The big homer by J.J. Bleday in the 10th. But ultimately, their bullpen kind of sold them. They had Cole Ragans only pitch for 3 innings, and then their bullpen, particularly the last few guys, Dabovich and Brebbia, really blew it. Our offense has been the reason why this team made it to the World Series in the first place, but we had really struggled to hit the ball against this Cubs pitching staff until today. We had 4 runs in the first. The offense continued to play well late. We scored in the 10th. We scored in the 11th. I give Hunter Green a lot of credit. I know those numbers are not good, but he really did a good job of bouncing back after the first inning, and the bullpen did enough to help us win a world championship. I think it's so fitting that Dustin Harris is the one who had the walk-off, because I feel like this team has been about unexpected stars and unexpected moments and guys who have grinded to get here, and I think that's exactly what Dustin Harris represents. A guy who we traded for, again, in like episode 4. He spent 5 years in our farm system working his way up. He gets an opportunity, and boy, does he run with it. So we've got some awards to go through. Jose Ramirez wins the playoff MVP, our 33-year-old franchise player who hit 8 homers in the postseason and is now a 2-time champion. Alvaro Pena is the World Series MVP, and this is completely well-deserved. Pena was our best player in the World Series, particularly these last 3 games with countless clutch plays. He's only 20 years old, and other than Kyle Lewis, he's the only one of our core hitters who was not on the World Series team 2 years ago as he was still in the farm system. So there you go. We've won 2 World Series championships now, and with MLB The Show 23 coming out in around 2.5 weeks, obviously we're not going to get through another season with these guys. I think that's pretty obvious. However, we still have a long-term sim to get through. We've got to find out what happens in the careers of all of these guys in this team, see if we can win some more championships, try to get some of these guys into the Hall of Fame. So that's the plan. The next 2 or 3 episodes will be dedicated to the long-term sim, and then that'll be it. We'll be able to put a bow on this series, and before you know it, MLB The Show 23 is going to be out, and we're going to start our series on that game. I plan on having the official poll for the MLB The Show 23 franchise team selection on the YouTube community page later this week, so make sure to keep your eyes out for that. Hope everybody enjoyed the episode. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for your World Series champion, Cleveland Guardians. Peace out, everybody.